Hello Stitchy friends, welcome to the Starlight Stitching Co. Flosstube number 30. Today is Thursday, February 1st. I am Amanda Corbett. I'm the creator behind Starlight Stitching Co. And this is my little corner of the internet where I share whatever crafty projects I've been up to in the last couple of weeks. If you are new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for choosing to spend a little bit of your day with me. So we have finishes. I have a lot of finishes today. Not one, not two, but 10 fully finished items, and some of them are recent finishes as well. A whole bunch of whips. I have a shop update, a little bit of haul, not a lot. Some knitting and crochet progress on a couple of projects, and a cross stitch goal that I want to fulfill. And then we'll also talk about my progress on the heifer pull for January and what's upcoming for February. I should probably get that planner though so I can have the numbers for you. Okay, got my little planner here. Very not fancy, very simple planner. So let's go ahead and talk about some finishes first. Last time I had shared with you that I was working on finishing up When Life is Done by Silver Creek Samplers, and I really wanted to get that finished up by January 22nd and have it fully finished so I could give it to my mom on that date. So I did make some changes to the pattern with a color conversion. As you can see, the lady's dress in this pattern is blue, so I switched that to yellow because my mother's favorite color is yellow. And I changed the color of the text to a blue color. I think it was Battleship by Classic Colorworks. Anyway, I forgot to film a clip of it, but here is a photo of the finished and fully framed stitch. This is in a frame that I purchased from the Rusty Roof. I don't remember, I think it was a standard size. Maybe it was a custom size. I don't recall. Either way, it's a frame from the Rusty Roof. If you would like the details on that particular frame, let me know and I can dig up that information for you. And I believe I shared the color conversion on my Instagram when I posted the finished picture of that project. But if you need that information, please don't hesitate to comment and I will get that for you. So that is my first full finished item. Let's see, which one should we do next? Oh, so here we have Winter Quaker by Primrose Cottage Stitches. I had finished stitching this on New Year's Eve. So it was just barely squeaked in at a 2023 finish. And this is stitched on a 32 count raw silver linen, Belfast linen. And I did not have the called for color Battleship, so I used Wavy Navy. And then I finished it into a simple pillow with some blue snowflake print quilt fabric on the back and some blue pom-pom trim from Lady Creates. That pom-pom is not fun to separate from the strand, I'll tell you. But stitching it on was pretty easy. And I just stuffed this with polyfill. It's what I had on hand. And it is a sweet little wintry pillow finish for my winter decor. Next up, I don't know what order to go in. There's so many. So the next few are some previous finishes that are from my finished but not fully finished box. I have a goal to get all of those in that box completely and fully finished and have it empty by the end of 2024. We'll see how that goes. So this is Love Lives Here by Country Cottage Needleworks, I think. And I stitched this on a 14 count oatmeal Aida. And I don't think I used the called for colors. I think I used close to the called for colors. because I think I used all DMC. Yeah, I used all DMC, and I'm pretty sure the original calls for some fancy floss. So I finished this on a palette sign that I think I got from Walmart. I just painted this frame part of it pink and then cut a board the size of the stitch to fit in it, and then added a sweet little bow. Super cute. I'm glad to finally have this fully finished and ready for display. The next finish is called Just My Type. This was a stitch along from Fat Quarter Shop a few years ago, and I stitched this on a 14 count navy Aida. There's a little fuzzy stuck on it. I could see it in the camera. So this is a simple wood, I think it's supposed to be a canvas from Walmart, so this is supposed to be the front, but I used the back. And I just cut my board to fit inside this inset and painted it up with some acrylic paint in like a dry brushed distressed look and squeezed it in there. You can tell it just barely fits, but I was trying to use what I had on hand, and it is done, and now I can add it to my decor. Okay, next, I shared that I was working on the Well Hello There from Hands On Design, and here is Hello January. So I just finished it onto some mat board with some washers on the back, because if you see this ladder display behind me, this is from Paisley's and Polka Dots. There's a little wooden sign that hangs down from two little hooks right there. So I decided that I would make these finishing pieces fit on that lovely little wooden sign. So here you have February on it. And I stitched these just with different fabric from my stash. I believe they're all 14 count. 14 or 28. So here's Hello March. Again, just finished on some mat board with washers on the back, and a couple of them I added pom-pom trim to, if I had a color that worked well. And here is Hello August. So obviously I still have 8 more. No, I have July finished. I just didn't get that one fully finished. So I have several more to finish stitching to add to that collection, but that'll be fun to have a little monthly decor piece to add. And on that note, last time I mentioned that I was going to be starting the monthly Quaker series by From the Heart Needle Art by Wendy, and I stitched February and I got it fully finished. So this frame with the perpetual calendar pieces can be purchased at Paisley's and Polka Dots. I will make sure to link that below. And the stitched piece, I stitched it on 20 count white Aida, and it just fits perfectly inside there. Now, you might notice that it's not set all the way back in there. I kind of cheated. So here is the stitched piece all on its own. I did do a color conversion. It was Color and Cotton Parlor, Color and Cotton Secret Admirer, and a DMC color. What was it? 3350, I think. It's this pink color here. So very pretty, lots of variegation, stitched up pretty quickly. So back onto the frame. I cheated. So you might be able to tell. These are just some plastic bobbins. I have my Singer patchwork that I use to sew all of the project bags that I make. I have a Juki, but her and I need to get a little better acquainted before I start using it on project bags on the regular. But Anyway, I'm usually reloading 10 bobbins at least once a week, if not twice a week. I know most people don't sew quite that much. But after a while, those plastic bobbins, they start to crack and will eventually break. So I took a couple of my older ones and just glued them inside the frame and hot glued a washer on top to just pop that out a little bit. And I think it looks great. So later today, I will be starting the March Quaker with the goal of having it finished by the end of March and having it fully finished so I can put it in my frame. I haven't done January yet. I picked out the colors for January, but because I didn't start it until later in the month, I decided to do February 1st. That way I could have the finished piece on display on the 1st of the month. Okay, so I think that just leaves one fully finished item. This has been in my finished but not fully finished bin for quite some time. And this is Let's Talk Winter by Hands on Design. So this is stitched on a 14 count chalkboard black Aida. And I finished it on a, I think it's called a Perfect Pocket board. No, that's not what it's called. It's from Chantel's 141 Design Company, and I'll make sure to link it below if it's available in her shop. And I had just, excuse me, I had just painted it white after gluing everything together. This piece is on washers and magnets, and this greenery with the bow is, I just bent the wires from the florals and literally stuck it in the cracks of this board here. So it just barely fits on there. So I have the rest of these seasonal ones as well as the quilting and stitching pattern, the stitching one I want to start soon. I think I might try to stitch them on a slightly smaller count so they'll fit a little bit better. But I mean, even on 14 count, it does fit just barely. And I think it is a very pretty winter display. So I'll have to find somewhere to set this out and enjoy it, because it doesn't really go with the Valentine's theme I've got here, but it is still technically winter, so I'll set this up somewhere else in my home. But I am glad to have it out of the box and ready to display. And this is just a super simple finish, not taking a whole lot of time to do anything incredibly fancy. So that takes care of finishes. Right? Yeah, I think so. So next we will move on to whips. So my current whip that I am working on, as if I'm just working on one. The first whip I've worked on is Valentine's Day Quaker by Primrose Cottage. These patterns are just so adorable. I love them. I know in one of my project bags behind me, I have the autumn one started, but I didn't get it finished. And of course, I just fully finished the winter one. I have the Christmas one, but I didn't have time to start it at Christmas time. Anyway, so I am stitching this on a 28 count white opalescent linen. And I'm using floss from my stash. So I had Color and Cotton Rose Petals. My tag kind of tore on the bottom, so I had to use the other hole. But I knew that one skein wouldn't be enough. So I got as close as I could to a color match with DMC 899. And that is what I'm using. So I'm just kind of skipping back and forth and trying to go around. It's not super obvious because it's close to the color of the darker color in that floss, but you can tell that it's solid. So like I said, I'm just trying to skip around and alternate the two colors throughout, and I think it will be beautiful when finished. So I don't know, I'm gonna see if I can get that done before Valentine's Day. These are pretty quick stitches, so I think I can do that. And then I'll be starting, I guess I should cover that in plans, shouldn't I? We'll wait and talk about that one in plans. It just happens to be in the same bag. Next up, I have my birthday start from last year. Let Love Rain by Teresa Kogut. I have decided to start working on this regularly as my Sunday stitch, and sometimes I sneak in a little extra time. And like I've mentioned before, this is stitched on a 32 count raw silver Belfast linen, and I did my own color conversion with mostly color and cotton floss. If you would like that conversion, please let me know. But here is where I'm at. So obviously I have more fabric. It's just folded in half right now for your viewing pleasure. But do you see this little chain here that goes all the way across? Every single thing above that chain is finished, totally done. And I've got a little start on the next section of border and that butterfly that goes there. Super duper pretty. I did goof a little bit on the chain. So stitching the chain itself, there's a lot of color changes. So what worked really well for that, I don't normally do this, but what worked really well for that is to have, and now it's a mess, a needle for each color already threaded. And I used this little magnetic needle case from Fat Quarter Shop to hold them in there. And threading 2 strands in the needle worked well. And that's all I needed to go all the way across. So that made that process faster than having to change, you know, rethread your needle a dozen times. But one little problem, let's see, where was it at? Where was it at? Right over here. After this first repeat, I've had these 5 chains done for a long time, and then I just decided that I was going to go ahead and finish the rest of the chains. I goofed and made a counting mistake, and guess where I made that mistake at? Guess. Right there when I started. All the way over here before continuing the chains all the way across the rest. So you might notice that this chain on this end is 1 stitch shorter than all the rest, but I am not unpicking all those. No way, Jose. That was a lot of hours of stitching just to get that chain done because of all the stops and starts. But I just love the colors and how it's coming together. And I can't wait to have this finished and on my wall. I have already decided that I am going to, you know, save and set aside the money to get a really nice frame and to get the museum glass for the frame. I'll do the framing myself, but I want to make sure it has a pretty spot to go when it is finished. The next whip, and I didn't do a whole lot on this. Where's my cover sheet? Snow Magical by Brenda Gervais. And I'm not going to take this out of the hoop, so bear with me here. I have everything done except for the fill-in. So I just did some work on filling in the bottom of the snowman. This is on a 40 count fabric. I purchased it as a kit. Can't remember from where. Was it Farm Girl Dry Goods? I don't know. It came with the freeze frame finishing piece, but excuse me, I need to finish filling that in and get it on the freeze frame panel, and I hope to have that done before the end of winter. So I've got a little while yet. It is just fill-in, but it's 40 count. Yeesh. 20 count Aida, love it. Absolutely love it. I've even looked on some of the hand dyers websites to try to find some hand dyed 14 or 20 count Aida. Not a lot of them have 20 count Aida. So I think I'm going to be buying several packages of just white 20 count Zweigart Aida so I can dye it myself. Next up, I have a knitting whip and a crochet whip to share with you. So I'll probably cut this out and shift it back into the whip section since I didn't talk about it then. So my first project that I'm going to share is knitting. And this is the Laurel shawl. And I recently shared this on my Instagram stories because you might remember, probably not, because it's been a while since I've brought it up. But I had gotten pretty far into it. I mean, I'd gotten to a couple of rows past this knit row here, or purl row here, and into the knitting section here. And I realized, you know, mine does not look as big as it does on the picture. And I mean, I know I'm using a smaller yarn, but it doesn't look as big. I wasn't getting anywhere near gauge, okay? Not anywhere near. So I took the other ball of yarn and knit a gauge swatch 3 different times to figure out what needles I needed to use to get gauge. So the pattern calls for a worsted weight. I am using a DK weight, so it's obviously going to be like lighter and lacier, which is okay. I mean, it's a shawl, and this is really pretty yarn. So I unpicked all of it, wound it all back up onto my ball, and restarted on some larger needles, and this is where I'm at. I need to count my rows. I don't know how many I have, but I do know that I need to knit and purl for 33 rows, 33 repeats. Yeah, 33 repeats of knitting and purling before I go to that 1 row of purl that you can see. So that's what it looks like now after I restarted it. So if you are knitting, do a gauge swatch, my friends. Do a gauge swatch before you start, and that would be super helpful. The next project I have is a crochet project. In going through my craft room, I realized I had a whole bunch of this Heartland Thick and Quick yarn in the color Olympic. It's a very pretty blue. I love blue, so that's okay. But when I say a whole bunch, I mean like 14 skeins. I had gotten it in, I think, like 2 different kits from Craftsy, and then just never got around to starting whatever it was. I think one of them was like a really thick shawl, and I don't remember what the other one was at all. So either way, I'm going to use them both, and I'm going to make them into just a throw blanket, just to use them up. And I am using the Cherry Heart Spice of Life crochet pattern. Now, this pattern is meant for using up all your leftover bits of yarn to make into a blanket with lots of different colors. So I'm not exactly following the pattern with the number of rows, but I am using the specialty stitches. So I've got these 2 rows of double crochet here, and then the shells, which you can see here, and then I'll do 2 more rows of double crochet and the next specialty stitch. So it's kind of like a sampler crochet blanket. I think it'll be really fun, but I've basically been trying to do 1 row a day. So obviously I haven't started it very long ago, since I only have 4 rows. But I'm trying to add just 1 row a day. It doesn't take very long. And then maybe eventually I will have a crochet throw. And I'll free up all that space in my closet from that chunky yarn that's been sitting there. So last month for the heifer pull, which, if you don't know what that is basically a whip go that was reimagined by the Floss Boss and Cousins. And my pulls for January let's see, I think they called 2 and 25. Both of those were this Dimensions truck, Santa's truck stocking. I've just been calling it the truck stocking. Yeah, so both of my pulls for January were this stocking. And here is where I'm at. So when I started, I wasn't even totally finished gridding the fabric yet. And where I'm at now, I have the windshield area of the truck almost totally complete. The little specks here, I need to add some white stitches for snowflakes. But otherwise, that whole windshield area is done. So that's how I like to tackle these very detailed projects, is I'll pick a certain area to focus on and get everything done in that area. So like I focused on the windshield and getting everything done in the windshield. And then I'll probably move up to the presents and get everything done in the presents. And then, you know, maybe I'll go over to here and finish everything here. And just like one object at a time as a good way to get some progress on that. Now, I did fall short on my days, and I think one thing that made it a little bit harder is that both of the picks for that month were the same project. So that meant I had to work on this for 20 days in the month. Not two different projects where I could work on both of them in the same day. And there were some days I either really wanted to work on something else, like I needed to get that When Life is Done finished. That was a major goal. And so was getting the February Quaker done. So there were several nights where I only got in like 1 or 2 stitches. So since I missed those 3 days, I will try to work on this one 3 more days in February. That way I can get the full 20 days in on that item. Okay, so now I guess we're going a little bit into plans since we're talking about heifer. So let's talk about plans. All right, the heifer pulls for February were 10 and 21. So the first of those items is Oh Holy Night Nativity by Stony Creek. Yeah, Stony Creek Collection. It is a very pretty, like, Dimensions level, probably more of a higher level than Dimensions, because Dimensions doesn't have half stitches in it, whereas this pattern does. So I had restarted this because I had initially started stitching it on Aida and then discovered it had so many half stitches, and I decided to restart it on some linen. So this is a Crystal Dwarf linen. It's sparkly. I like sparkly fabric. And that's the progress I have. I think it's literally like 2 days worth of stitching and not very much time at that. So that is one of my heifer pulls for February. Very large piece of fabric. I think the first thing I'm going to work on doing is gridding my fabric for the chart area. So just like you saw on the truck kit, I had the grid with my easy count guideline. If you don't know how to use this, I did do a video recently on how to grid your fabric. But because this is such an involved and detailed pattern, I think I want that grid to help me make sure I don't get off on my counting. Because the grid itself gives me something to compare to as I'm going along stitching. So I'm going to tuck that guideline in there, and that's probably the first thing I'm going to do on it. The next heifer pull I have and this is a pretty old WIP. It is America the Beautiful by Stitching with the Housewives. Sorry about that. Little Miss decided that she was ready for her breakfast. Okay, so my next heifer pull is America the Beautiful by Stitching with the Housewives. This is a WIP that is several years old. And here is where I'm at. So on this particular stitch, I am hoping to be able to get it totally finished. So I have the word America and one flower. I have the words The Beautiful and then all the flowers that go around. So hopefully this will be a finish, and then maybe I can get it fully finished to have on display. Sorry, somebody honked the horn and it scared me. Have it on display for the 4th of July. Dogs are outside barking. It's just one of those crazy days. Okay, so we talked about heifer. I do have one more item on plans. So I've talked about this in my whip parade. I don't have the cover picture. But this is Another Dimensions Kit, Winter Cardinals. This is my oldest whip. And I want to finish this before the end of winter. So it just needs some more pine needles on this side and a little bit of filling in the pine needles on this side. And then this getting close to 20-year-old whip will be done. I think I need to iron it. No, I can't. I don't want to iron it with the guideline in there. I'll have to wait to iron it. But hopefully I can get these well-pressed wrinkles out. Maybe I can fold it the opposite direction to help. This has been in a project bag for a long, long time. We'll try folding it the opposite direction for a while. So I hope to have that totally finished by the end of winter. I almost forgot one item from plans and a giveaway that I have for you. So since today is February 1st, I will be starting the March Quaker from the Heart Needle Art by Wendy. That name is quite a mouthful, isn't it? And I am using the colors English Ivy, which is one of the called for, 4-leaf clover, which is also one of the called for, and instead of Eve's leaves, I'm going to use tartan plaid, which is a little bit more of a turquoisey green color. And like the February Quaker that I recently finished, I will be stitching that on a 20 count white Aida with one strand over one Aida square. So I'll be getting that started later today. And I also have a giveaway for you. So it's been a little while since I've posted a giveaway, and these are actually the items that just weren't claimed. So instead of doing them individually, this is all going to be one fabulous giveaway prize package. So first you have this beautiful project bag by Sherry So Sweet in the Love Note fabric collection. It is beautifully made and quilted. This is a bigger project bag. It's fabulous. Inside will be Little House Needleworks Winter Petites, because I had a duplicate. Merry Snowman by Scissortail Designs. Trick or Treat Sampler by Shannon Christine Designs with the called for floss. No fabric, but the called for floss. It is a really cute little sampler. Rejoice Evermore, because I loved it so much I bought it twice. And some of the Chantel's 141 little, I forget what she calls these, little decor edition pieces. So this is going to be one fabulous package. One lucky winner will get all of it. So just use the code word rejoice in your comment. Excuse me, after the Rejoice Evermore pattern. and you will have until the next Flosstube video to enter to win. So I will pull the winner for that right before I film in 2 weeks. I had shared previously that my sister had requested a musselburgh hat. I had made a couple of them for Christmas gifts, and my sister requested one in red. And I had ordered this pretty red, reddish purpley, darker red. It's Malabrigo Rios in the color Libra. It is very pretty. But after it arrived, I realized she probably wanted like Chief's red, primary red and yellow. And she did. I was right. And so she so kindly ordered the color that she picked, which is Malabrigo Rios in the color Gemini, which is kind of like a hot pink and yellow and orangey color. So a little bit more closer to the Chief's colors. And, excuse me, that is what I will work on sometime soon. I haven't started it yet. There's plenty of time before her birthday. And because her birthday is in October, and I will get that done. I had also ordered, see, the 2 skeins, you really only need 1.5 skeins for the musselburgh hat. So I thought, well, I'll just use the other half of this red with some pink color and make a hat for someone else's gift. So I ordered from Arcane Fiberworks the color Maroon Melody, and this is what I got. It is a very pretty yarn, but the picture online was definitely more pink than purple. And this skein is definitely more purple than pink. So this is very purpley and very gray. I have 1 skein of worsted weight, which the Malabrigo Rios says it's a worsted weight. But if you're looking at them, the Malabrigo Rios definitely looks smaller, which, I mean, I know the worsted weight is a range, but this is way thicker. So I don't think I'd be able to use it in the same hat anyway. So I have this yarn that I'll probably just end up making myself a hat with. I don't know. And then I'll try to find another skein of the same brand in a different color pink and do the gift I had in mind. But meanwhile, this, I think I might use, Carrie with Tiger Lily Designs is doing a beanie along. So I might go ahead and use this for the beanie along and either keep it for myself or give it as a gift. We shall see. And then the only other piece of haul I have is I received my Just Cross Stitch magazine in the mail. I honestly kind of forgot that I had continued to subscribe to it, but there is, I mean, there's several cute patterns, but there is one in here that I definitely want to stitch. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Here it is. It is so cute. Isn't this just the sweetest bunny? I love her dress. Oh, so cute. So cute. So maybe I'll add this into my spring and Easter plans to stitch up. Okay, we've talked about finishes, we've talked about whips, we've talked about knitting and crochet. I think we've talked about plans. I think the only thing that's left is a shop update. It's February 1st that I'm filming it, so you probably aren't necessarily seeing it on February 1st. But later today in my shop, I will have 3 new bag options. So first up is the Anne of Green Gables cross stitch tote. It is a very pretty purple floral. And then when you open it up on the inside, I just love this cream floral print. So pretty. And this is the first time I've done this. You see this here? Where there's one fabric on the top of the zipper and the floral cover fabric on the bottom. I just didn't happen to have enough of this to cut all the pieces I needed, so I cut the last piece I needed out of this. And it looks so cute. I love it. So maybe that's something I'll do more going forward. If you aren't familiar with my cross stitch totes, I have one large vinyl pocket on the outside. They all come with some sort of pretty charm on the zipper pull. On the inside, there is one large pocket here with a pocket behind, thread bed, piece of felt for storing extra needles, and a loop of ribbon that you could hook a floss ring or clip your scissors to. And then there's a smaller vinyl pocket down here with a hidden fabric pocket in the back. This is where I like to keep my scissors, so my scissors don't poke through the vinyl or get tangled in whatever I have in the front of my pocket. I love these cross stitch totes because they can hold several projects at once, and they hold the bigger booklet style patterns. Next, I have what I'm calling the Dancing Leaves handbag. Oh, I should mention, I have 8 of the Anne of Green Gables totes available and only 4 of these available. So not quite as many releasing this month. I'm trying to get caught up. So this is the cross stitch handbag. It has the one larger vinyl pocket on the front. Open it up. Large thread bed on the inside, same felt and ribbon loop as the tote. Pocket here, pocket here. Then this vinyl pocket has the big vinyl pocket and then a separate hidden pocket that's not quite as deep as the whole thing. It goes about here. And again, that is the perfect place to store your scissors so they don't get tangled up with your floss. This size is perfect for those 5.5 by 8.5 inch patterns. Something like this fits perfectly. So both of those completely replace a project bag. This is the cross stitch clutch, and this is called Coral Roses. You have the vinyl pocket on the front with the hidden pocket in the back, again, to keep your scissors separate from your floss. And then it opens up on the inside and you have a large thread bed and a place to store some extra needles. So these work great with your existing project bags to help. I like to store my floss and my scissors and then a spot for an extra needle. These are great, keeps everything organized. I love them. I use them myself in almost every project. Okay, so that is the shop update. I think we have covered everything. Thank you so much for watching. I will try to link as much as I can in the description box below. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments. Oh, I usually try to mention some of the floss tubers. I have made a list, but I did not. So I'll just try to remember the ones I've watched in the last couple days. The Garnet Rose Stitchers, I haven't made it quite all the way through their most recent floss tube yet. Crafty Cottage Stitches, I've been enjoying their videos that they've been putting out. Chantel 141 Design Company. Let's see. Nicole Spohr, Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, as usual. Mrs. Jones Stitches. Millennial Stitcher. There was another one that had a really fun whip parade. I mean, Carrie had her whip parade recently. That was a lot of fun to watch. Just so amazing, so many amazing floss tubers. I need to make sure I do a better job of making a list. Because a shout out to some of those that may be lesser known or maybe new to you, so how you can find other floss tubers and enjoy watching their videos. There are a couple of other little tidbits that I wanted to add into the shop update section. So previously, I think it was on my finish parade or whip parade video, someone had asked how many bags I had made last year. So the clutches, the handbags, and the totes. And I have figured out what that number is. So between those 3 different options, in 2023, I sewed a total of 1,264 bags. So again, that's a mix of the clutches and the handbags and the totes. because last year is when I introduced the handbags and the totes for the first time. So most of those are the clutches, which makes sense. The clutches are a lot faster to make. But so that is a pretty impressive number. My sewing machine has definitely had some miles put on it. And thank you so much to every one of you that have purchased. You really are helping me support my family. So I'm married and I have one daughter, and I work part-time from home and have StarlightStitchingCo, and I homeschool her. And so every time you submit an order, whether it's for a pattern or one of the bags or like or share, you are truly helping me provide for my family and put food on my table. So I very greatly appreciate that. Also, on the birdhouse patterns, so it is February 1st and I still have not designed the January birdhouse or the February birdhouse. I promise they're coming. That's one thing that I need to work on, is squeezing a little time into my week or regularly into my days for designing. I have lots of ideas. It's just finding the time to squeeze in the computer design time, because that does take a significant amount of time to design those. And it's fun. I want to do it. I need to figure out how to squeeze that in. So those will be coming out hopefully very soon. And like before, in digital format, because obviously I don't have a sample stitched yet because I haven't designed it yet. So those are coming. I apologize for the delay. Life has been crazy. I know other people have said that January seems like it was so incredibly long, and for me it's like poof, January's already gone. It's already February. I don't know where it went. So I will work on that and get that released soon. So thank you. So thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will see you in a couple weeks. I hope you get lots of stitching time in and lots of crafty time, and just have a great couple of weeks. So we'll talk to you next time. Bye.